Now, heavy rains in most parts of the country, leaving a trail of destruction. Several provinces, like Limpopo, have been declared disaster areas. It doesn't end there. A rescue mission earlier was underway to facilitate the safe rescue of a man who had been trapped in the middle of the Letaba River in Tzaneen for the past 4 days. 2 people drowned in rivers in separate incidents in the province on Tuesday, and their bodies have now been retrieved. Let's get the latest now with Limpopo CoGTA MEC, Basikopo Makamu. MEC, good afternoon. Welcome to today, and thank you very much for your time. I guess there was a bit of a sigh of relief that the man who'd been stuck for days in the middle of Letaba River has now been lifted by helicopter.
Good afternoon, Dan, and to the viewers. It is true that the Premier of the province is excited that our team has conducted, under the leadership of Commander Mabitsela, who is responsible for the rescue and search in the province, have been successfully rescued a man who had been stuck for almost 4 days in the Letaba River. That shows that as government, with us, care for our people, but we do have our teams that are there on the ground as led by the Disaster Management Center. So it's a mission well executed, and we want to thank everybody who contributed towards that, but also the man himself who kept resilience and tried to be strong when things were not promising that it would be all right. But as the province, the Premier has issued words of compliments to the team that was there, trying to encourage him throughout, but also the team that executed the operation. We are more than happy as government.
Yeah, sadly, 2 people have drowned, I understand, on Tuesday. Their bodies have been retrieved because it's been very wet and rivers have been swelling. What more information you can give us in terms of numbers? Are those the only 2 people, for example, who've died that you are aware of?
Well, up to so far, the information we have, except that we also have got another disaster where we lost about 21 people in terms of the bus crash which happened next to the Ferwood Tunnel, which the Deputy Minister and the MEC for Transport and Community Safety are supporting and attending to that scene. But we also lost 2 people in the Mopani District Municipality, where the Executive Mayor went to represent government in offering our condolences to the family who they lost because they drowned within the river around the ward Mashishimani in the Palabura area. As for now, we don't have, except that we are losing infrastructure very badly. Mostly the part of Wembe is the most hard area, but we are saying in everywhere in the province, we are seeing roads are being swept away, bridges are being swept away. Some houses, those that are staying in mud houses, are being collapsed by this rain. And we are calling upon family members and the community members to offer each other support and shelter during these devastating situations.
It's a very devastating situation, but the government has declared Limpopo as a disaster area, and that should mean that certain urgent measures must be taken. What are you seeing about the implementation in Limpopo of the state of disaster?
Look, Dan, currently in some areas you can't even do assessment to know what type of intervention you will do because rain is still flowing there. But what we are doing is to make sure that all our teams in all our districts, you won't believe it then that I'm also part of the WhatsApp group where all the district disaster management center heads and the provincial head are, so that we can pick each and every small thing that will require our very urgent and quick intervention. And as for now, we are focusing more on rescuing people like we did now, but we are also releasing other teams to be looking at areas which are accessible now to start to conduct an assessment that will tell us exactly what type of short-term intervention that we should be able to do.
But in the meantime, you said rain is continuing to fall and several rivers have been swelling. plus you've got infrastructure damage you have not yet accessed. But what will be the short-term emergency relief needs your province would like to see flowing into your province to support the people who are affected?
Well, like I said, we have already spoken to the South African National Defence Force to remain alert that at any given time we may require for their intervention, but also police, the team of the research, like Commander Mabitsela is leading, it's also on the ground to make sure that that intervention is there. But also our local municipality disaster management centers and districts are always there, where people will be able to access. They require food, they require accommodation. We are trying to work with social partners within the ground and be able to talk. My colleague as the MEC for Public Works, where they can make shift bridges, there were 2 schools which were not accessible. We had to come in and make some makeshift bridge that people will be able to access the school so that the teaching and learning should continue even under the situation. So whenever we pick that there's something that we can be able to do as a team using the district development model, as all sector departments work together to make sure that we assist whoever it's in need at the time when we are still conducting assessments.
Yeah, weather forecasters are predicting more rain. We are, of course, smack middle in the bang in the middle of summer, and they're expecting more rains. What are you advising the communities in Limpopo to do, or do you think it will be necessary as well to evacuate some people from low-lying areas?
Well, that is what we have been encouraging our people, that traditional leaders, councillors must also help us looking at the people who are staying in low-level areas or flooding areas to not to utilize their houses. They must be accommodated either in the church or either in the relatives around the area so that they can be able to see when it's not late at night. So that is the message we have been communicating. We are advising people, but also those that carry some religious and rituals within these small dams, that they must at least suspend it for now, because they may not know how deep the small dam that they used to know to be now with these rains. We are just saying, let them allow the rain to subside so that they can be able to do this. But also try to encourage learners, young people and everybody else not to cross over small rivers, which might not necessarily be sure of how deep will be they running those rivers. So it's a message which we cannot only carry as a provincial government, but we're doing that with every stakeholder within our communities.
Okay, so I mean, the men who are stuck in Letaba River is now been plucked to safety, but sadly 2 people have died. We are not aware of any more people, and then there are measures in place. To conclude, I just want one last question, MEC, because I have you. I understand that the Limpopo provincial government has been embarking on removing asbestos roofs in the area. How far is that? What progress are you making?
Then you will remember in 2021, as the MEC for CoGTA, the area of Seshego was hard hit by the storms and hails there. The asbestos were cracked and waters were just flowing inside the people's houses. We made commitment at that time that we are going to remove all the asbestos houses, roofs in the Seshego area. As I'm speaking to you, yesterday I played an oversight role together with the executive mayor to see how far the progress is. We found that almost 367 houses have been removed and replaced with the corrugated irons. Now people were happy that I visited, but the progress is not necessarily satisfactory to me as the MEC. But by the 31st of March, the 3 contractors which have been appointed, they have made commitment that they will conclude the process of 1,500 units. But in the Seshego area, we have got almost 2,225 units which need to be removed, and we should be able to do it in the next financial year. But also appointed HDA to make sure that they conduct assessment in the whole province so that we can be able to deal with asbestos, because it causes health hazard to our people, and we should be able to rescue them out of that such situation. And we are on course. The project will run as we are promised. The minister is going to make us have money available to deal with certain things which we may not have as a province.
MEC, thank you very much. That's the Limpopo MEC for CoGTA, Basikopo Makamu, giving us an update about the rescue mission that took place a little bit earlier. The man who was stuck in the middle of Letaba River is now safe. He was plucked to safety by a helicopter, as you saw in those visuals we brought to you. But also, sadly, only 2 people have died, and that's the number of fatalities that he's aware of at this stage. But there's a lot of infrastructure damage as well that's been caused. And Limpopo, like several other provinces, have now been declared disaster areas.